The heaviest burden you will ever carry is not the weight of your responsibilities, nor is it the expectations of your family or the pressures of your career. The heaviest burden you will ever carry is the person you think you are supposed to be. From the moment we are born, the world begins to dress us in layers of identity, a name, a profession, a reputation, and a collection of successes and failures that we wear like armor. We spend our entire lives defending this fragile construct we call the ego. We fight for it, we bleed for it, and we suffer deeply when it is bruised or ignored. But what if I told you that this identity is actually a cage? The reason you feel exhausted, the reason you feel anxious about the future, is because you are trying to maintain a statue that was never meant to be permanent. To become truly unstoppable, you must first have the courage to become nobody. In this journey of the soul, we must realize that every time we say, "I am this" or "I am that," we are drawing a line around our potential. We are telling the universe that we are only a small fragment, when in reality, we are the entire mosaic. Today, we are going to dismantle the walls of your ego, not to destroy you, but to set you free. We are going to explore why the death of the self is the only way to achieve true immortality in this life. This is not a lesson for the weak-hearted, it is a summons to the spiritual warrior who is ready to drop the mask and face the terrifying, beautiful vastness of their own existence. Imagine your life as a grand theater. Since childhood, you have been playing a character on a stage, carefully curated by the audience's applause and their boos. You have learned exactly which lines to speak to receive a smile, and which parts of yourself to hide to avoid a frown. Over time, you have forgotten that you are the actor, you have convinced yourself that you are the role. This is the tragedy of the human condition. We become so attached to the character, the successful businessman, the devoted mother, the misunderstood genius, that we live in constant fear of the play ending. But the play will end. The lights will fade. And if you have never known yourself outside of the costume, you will face the final curtain with a heart full of regret. The death of the ego is the process of walking off that stage while the show is still running. It is the realization that the audience's opinion was never your truth, and the role you played was never your soul. When you stop being somebody in the eyes of the world, you finally gain the permission to be everything in the eyes of eternity. This silence, this emptiness, is where your real power resides. It is the silent space between the notes that makes the music possible. Without that emptiness, there is only noise. Look around you in this modern age. We live in a world that is obsessed with being seen. Every social media post, every boastful story told at a dinner table, every expensive purchase made to impress a neighbor, it is all a desperate cry from the ego, screaming, "Please, tell me I exist. Tell me I matter." But the ego is a bottomless pit, no matter how much praise you pour into it, it will never be full. It is a ghost that feeds on the energy of others, a parasite that survives on validation. When you live for the approval of the world, you are effectively giving strangers the remote control to your internal state. If they cheer, you feel tall. If they whisper, you feel small. This is not living, this is a sophisticated form of slavery. To die to the ego is to stop performing for an audience that doesn't truly care about you. It is the moment you realize that you don't need to prove anything to anyone, not even to the reflection in the mirror. True peace begins where the need to be right or important ends. When you no longer have a reputation to protect, you can finally afford to be honest. When you no longer have an image to uphold, you can finally afford to be real. This is the alchemy of indifference. By withdrawing your energy from the artificial self, you redirect it toward the authentic spirit. The true master is invisible, yet his presence is felt in every corner of the room. He works without seeking credit, he gives without seeking thanks, and he leads without demanding obedience. Because he has no ego to protect, he cannot be insulted. How can you insult someone who has no self to be offended? Because he has no image to maintain, he cannot be shamed. He has discovered the secret of the hollow bamboo. Just as a flute must be empty of wood to produce a beautiful, haunting sound, a human soul must be empty of ego to allow the music of the universe to flow through it. Most people are so full of themselves that there is no room for anything else, no room for new ideas, no room for genuine love, and no room for the divine. They are like a cup that is already filled to the brim with stagnant water. You cannot pour fresh wine into it. To be nobody is to empty that cup. It is to become a vessel for something greater than your own petty desires and fears. When you empty yourself of who you are, you make room for what you can be. This is the state of pure potential. You are no longer a single, lonely drop in the vast ocean, you become the entire, powerful ocean in a single drop. This is the shift from the individual to the universal, from the mortal to the eternal. Think of the ego as a heavy, ornate winter coat that you have been wearing in the middle of a scorching, relentless desert. You think it protects you, you think it defines your style and status, but in reality, it is suffocating you. You are sweating, you are exhausted, and your heart is racing under the weight of the fabric. Yet, you are afraid to take it off because you have forgotten what your skin feels like. You have forgotten who you are without the labels. You fear that if you drop your titles, your possessions, your pride, and your history, there will be nothing left but a void. But I tell you, that void is the most fertile ground in existence. What remains after the ego dies is the only thing that was ever real in the first place. It is your essence, the silent, unchanging witness that has been watching your life unfold since the very first breath you took. This witness does not care about your bank account, it does not care about your social status, and it is entirely unimpressed by your awards. It only cares about the truth of the moment. To connect with this witness, you must be willing to burn the coat. You must be willing to walk through the fire of self-dissolution until there is nothing left to burn. Only then will you find the unburnable within you. Most people spend their entire lives building a monument to themselves, only to realize at the very end that they have actually been building their own tomb. They spend decades carving their name into the stone, decorating the walls with their achievements, and polishing the floors with their pride. They are so busy focused on the construction that they never notice they are the ones trapped inside. The death of the ego is the ultimate jailbreak. It is the sudden, earth-shaking realization that the bars of the cage were made of nothing but your own thoughts and beliefs. When you stop saying, "I am a failure" or "I am a success," the walls of the cage vanish into thin air. You become unstoppable because there is no you left for the world to stop. A bullet can only hit a target. If there is no target, the bullet simply passes through the empty air. A critic can only hurt a person who cares about their pride. If there is no pride, the criticism is just noise in the wind. Be the air. Be the space. Be the silence that contains the noise. When you are nothing, you are immune to the world's attempts to bring you down. This is the highest form of defense, total transparency. In this arduous journey of becoming nobody, you will inevitably face your greatest and most primal fear, the fear of being forgotten. The ego is obsessed with legacy. It wants its name carved in stone, its face cast in bronze. It wants to believe that it will live on in the memories of others. But true immortality is not found in history books or statues, it is found in the ripple effect of your presence in the now. When you act without ego, your actions possess a weight and a clarity that words cannot describe. You become a beacon of light in a world increasingly filled with shadows. People will be drawn to you, not because of what you have achieved or what you own, but because of who you are when you have absolutely nothing to hide. This is the magnetic power of authenticity. It is the roar of a lion that does not need to show its teeth to be respected. It is the profound stillness of an ancient forest that does not need to move to be felt. When you no longer seek to be the center of the universe, you finally become part of its rhythm. You move with the seasons, you flow with the tides, and you find that the universe itself begins to support your every move. This is the grace that comes only to those who have surrendered their pride at the altar of truth. Do not mistake this spiritual surrender for weakness. To kill the ego is the most violent, demanding, and courageous act a human being can ever perform. It is a psychological war that never truly ends. It requires you to stand in front of the mirror every single morning and admit that the person you have been defending for decades is, in many ways, a fiction. It requires you to stay calm when you are deliberately ignored, and to stay humble when you are showered with praise. It is the ultimate discipline of the mind. But on the other side of this egoic death is a life so vibrant and free that you cannot even imagine it from where you are standing now. It is a life where anxiety is replaced by a profound curiosity, and where competition is replaced by a deep-seated compassion. You no longer see other people as rivals to be defeated or obstacles to be overcome. Instead, you see them as mirrors of your own divine, fractured nature. You realize that their ego is just as much of a cage as yours was, and you find it within yourself to forgive them. You are finally, perhaps for the first time in your entire life, truly and completely free. As we close this chapter of our journey together, I want to leave you with a practical challenge. Tomorrow, when you step out into the world, be on the lookout. When someone challenges your pride, or when you feel the burning urge to brag about an accomplishment, or when you feel the sharp sting of being overlooked, do not react. Just watch. Observe the ego as it tries to rise up like a wounded, cornered animal. Do not fight it, for fighting it only gives it more energy. Do not judge it, for judgment is just another trick of the ego. Just watch it with a detached, calm interest, and say to yourself, that is the ego. That is not me. In that single moment of pure observation, the ego loses its grip on your throat. You are the observer, not the ego. You are the immovable mountain, not the passing storm. This is the path to becoming everything. By letting go of the small, restrictive self, you merge with the great self that connects all living things. You become part of the rhythm of the stars and the whisper of the wind through the pines. Thank you for having the courage to walk this path with me today. If this message resonated with that silent witness within you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Not for my sake, but as a commitment to yourself, a daily reminder that you are far more than the masks you wear and the roles you play. Leave a comment below with the word awake if you are ready to drop the heavy burden of the ego and start living for the first time. Your journey does not end here, it is only just beginning. Remember the ancient wisdom, the seed must die for the tree to live. The caterpillar must vanish for the butterfly to emerge. Let your ego die today, so that your soul may finally, at long last, breathe the air of freedom. Until our paths cross again, stay silent, stay empty, and in doing so, become everything. I am Christopher, and your true life starts this very moment.